This is the HomeTech Podcast for August 11th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Reynoldsburg, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast all about home automation, home technology, and happy hours, right?
Woohoo!
Right? Everybody, we're doing our HomeTech Happy Hour. Go sign up, RSVP now. We kind of need a head count. It'd be really helpful to get a head count. And if you're interested, if you have a business, and you're interested in helping sponsor, we do have the sponsorship stuff, information on the same page. So HomeTech.fm/happy hour. Go sign up. Gavin, I assume you're coming. I haven't seen your RSVP come through yet.
I was the first to Did I RSVP on the wrong site? I sent a nice message and everything like that. Okay, I gotta do it again.
There was a listener that actually RSVP'd before any of us RSVP'd. So does that mean that they host the show now?
Ooh. That's a good question. I'm sure there's some kind of maritime law that yeah, I think that's the case. I have to figure that out.
Your show, I guess. You'll find out at the happy hour.
At the happy hour, yeah.
Make sure you come. If you don't come, then you don't win it.
Oh yeah, Gavin was actually the first to RSVP. I missed that one.
There you go. Yes,
it was before we actually put the form up anywhere. He registered, but yeah, there we go.
I was testing your form.
Gavin is a big fan of Gavin. Can't wait to meet him.
Well, now it's your show, Gavin. Congratulations.
We'll
hand over the keys
fan.
at the happy hour.
I'm my only fan.
And then Tokyo Jim, big friend of the show, has been in the Slack chat for a long time, and actually been a listener to the show for very long. He was actually in San Diego 5 years ago. I met up with him there. Yeah, he says looking forward to seeing you guys again. So that's real nice.
Yeah,
that's our three so far, but we literally just announced it 2 seconds before we hit record. So it's pretty awesome that we have one person in there. But if you are interested in, coming by, it's going to be on Friday, the 8th, I believe, September 8th. We've been talking about 6 p.m. and we're looking at the Rock Bottom Brewery again, which had a nice little back room. I think they call it the back bar or something like that. And it's got a bar, like a private bar that we can all get drinks at. And there'll be some, if we get enough of these sponsors, man, there's going to be some hors d'oeuvres and all sorts of good stuff to eat. Hors d'oeuvres, I think is what they call them in Denver. And maybe I haven't looked at the menu, but maybe they have some oysters, some Rocky Mountain oysters that we get.
Oh, if they do, is that where I'm going to have to try one then?
I mean, maybe.
You can try it wherever you want, Gavin. Nobody's going to hold you to it.
All right, cool.
When is everybody coming in? When are you coming in, Seth? When are you coming in, Gavin?
Way too early. I'm not as early as you. I think I'm coming on Sunday, and then I'm leaving Sunday. So Sunday to Sunday, I'll be around.
Nice.
I'll let you know when I book.
I haven't booked yet, man.
I'm sorry. There's been some other things going on. We're trying to schedule around, but we got it sorted out now, so I have to book now.
All right. Well, I'll be there September 2nd through the 9th. We're going to do some traveling beforehand. So we got some hot springs booked and a couple other things that I'm looking forward to. Do some nature seeing. Go check out the Garden of the Gods and a couple other places. So I am excited for this trip.
That actually sounds really fun.
Usually when I go to some kind of convention, I go to Florida. And I don't know if you know anything about Florida, Seth, but it's not really fun to walk around outside when conventions happen in Florida. So I stay inside and eat all the time, which is good, but it's not good for a lot of other things.
Yeah, it's not pleasant right now. I can tell you that. I think like as soon as you walk out, it's been every morning for the past couple of weeks. I've walked out, just opened the door and no, I don't want to go out in this. It's pretty awful right now. The humidity is just super high, and it's that oppressive high humidity heat that we get, which is why people love this state, right? No, they love it for 1 week in January or February when it's cold everywhere else, and then it's like 87 in Miami. That's what we love this state for. And then after that 1 week, it's back to this fresh hell.
Just miserable all the time, minus that 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is going to be a fun event. I'm looking forward to CEDIA this year. Hopefully it'll be a good turnout. I
don't see oysters on here. We do have artichoke dip, calamari, chicken wings, assorted pizzas, which is interesting. Chicken wings, twisted tenders.
We could probably get them DoorDashed or something.
Somebody will bring something.
Or just go next door. I mean, I'm sure next door, wherever they're at, next door is going to have something.
Somebody's going to DoorDash some Rocky Mountain oysters just for me to try there.
That's what kind of friend. That's what kind of good friends we are.
I guarantee I'll eat one. I don't know if I'll eat more than that, but
I'll try one. But
there you go.
Yes, have fudge brownies and carrot cake.
Ooh, sure. Perfect combination. Rocky Mountain oysters and fudge cake.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at the menu here. This is the group packages and hot platters, cold platters, and reception packages. So I'll have to take a look at this and see what we can get. I think last time we did some hors d'oeuvre type things. We had some little like things brought out, and there was food there. If you wanted to grab some food and drink and meet everybody. HomeTech.fm/happy hour, go RSVP there. Let us know you're coming, and we'd appreciate it. I'd help us give a head count so we can figure out what room in there we're going to be. But we're really hoping to get that back bar, and because it was nice and comfy last time we were there. Had a good time. So put it on your calendar, RSVP, and we'll see you there. We do have a couple of HomeTech headlines that slid in this week. We got some business news and some product leaks, and then of course, we got some matter talk this week. Finally, last week was all dry. Now it's like all matter, like everything matters. So what do you say we get started on these?
Let's do it.
Swiss tech company Garmin has confirmed its acquisition of JL Audio, a prominent U.S. tech firm renowned for crafting high-quality audio solutions and basically subwoofers. That's all anybody cared about. JL Audio's experience spans over 40 years, offering a wide variety of audio products such as speakers, amplifier, and subwoofers. Integration aims to enhance Garmin's market presence by integrating JL Audio's premium audio features across its offerings and its industries. Should finalize year-end 2023, and could be pretty interesting to see what, like, if Garmin comes out with some kind of like, I think Garmin has head units, right? I'm pretty sure they do, at least in boating, they do. So this could be a pretty good combination of companies. What do you guys think about this?
I only know Garmin for the Golf GPS, right? So, I was kind of shocked when I see this because I only know JL for car audio. So I was like, how do they go together? But then you mentioned, yeah, they have other lines of business. I didn't even realize they had the boating head unit, which would line up with their audio, because then you buy the head unit and the rest of if JL has some boating speakers, it would match. So they know what they're doing. They know what they have. I'm pretty sure it'll probably work out well for them.
Yeah, I used to sell a lot of Garmin GPS devices when I worked at Staples in the late 2000s. And if you would have told me that Garmin would still be around, I would have thought you were crazy. Because, smartphones were already a thing, and they were for quite a while at that point. But GPS on the phone still wasn't that good. And so if you're going on a long distance, trip or something like that, a lot of specifically older people would come in and they would buy a GPS, or you'd buy the little map upgrades for them or whatever it was. And that's what you used to get around the country. It's interesting to see them kind of evolve. They have the smartwatch lineup, which a lot of people like. The athletes, running and stuff like that.
Running, yeah.
That's a really big one for them. But I didn't see them purchasing, JL Audio. And I know JL Audio from mainly car audio stuff, the subwoofers and speakers and that kind of thing. I honestly didn't even know they had a home audio line. So that's on me, I guess.
Yeah, I remember seeing some subwoofers and that kind of thing and like CEDIA a couple of years back. But it looks like I'm going through Garmin's thing. They've got RV head units. Garmin, like, we all think when you think Garmin, you think of the little connect, the Garmin thing that you stick up on your windshield and basically it's been replaced by your cell phone now, like you were saying. But they have that software. They have the software. They have all the data and everything. So like a lot of times, if you're using Apple, especially like Apple Maps or something like that, you may actually be accessing Garmin data. And sometimes, I think in the past, they used to say in the bottom corner, data provided by Garmin or something like that. So there's still a lot of like GPS, and I kind of went to their website here and looking through. Basically every automobile company out there that has those in-dash things uses Garmin. It's a Volkswagen, just everybody's on here. So it's interesting. Also, they're in airplanes, like Garmin is everywhere. So it's an interesting company, larger than I think when I think of Garmin, because when I think of Garmin, I think about this present that somebody gave me, the very same year I got my cell phone, and it was one of those Garmin like Garmin dash units, right? And I'm like, I just sat there and stared at it. And they got me that, and they got me the lifetime subscription for it. And I'm like, just looking at it, like, I'm never going to use this. I just sat there and stared at it. And I actually just threw that away, not too, like, maybe last year, because like I hadn't plugged it in at all. It just had been sitting there. Maybe used it on one trip at some point, but as soon as it went into the dash of the car, that was it for me.
You should have just plugged it in to see if it would have still received updates. See if the lifetime updates was still a thing. You would have been able to easily tell though, because Florida has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. No, in that time we've definitely have a number of new roads and things that have popped up, and you see them get added. Like there was a time where even when I used Apple Maps or whatever, I'd be driving through this green area that it didn't think I should be driving through. And it would
rerouting,
try and get me to turn around and go around this thing. But yeah, finally the road got added, about a year after it was made. And Apple directions are finally better by about 15 minutes going this particular route. So yeah, anyway, interesting acquisition, and we'll see what it leads to. I hope that JL still. It seems like Garmin's a big enough company that they're not just going to like take over the JL name and get rid of it. Like I think it's just going to be a division of Garmin, this kind of thing. So we shouldn't notice any difference, hopefully, and you may see JL pop up in a number of other places in the future. All right, let's move on here. We got a nice little got some leaks here, which is pretty good, pretty fun. The first one, it's a leak comes from The Verge. Philips Hue might be expanding into the smart home security, thanks to 4 leaked products. Let's kind of go with leaked cameras actually, and a door and window contact sensor. The leaked camera lineup includes a Hue camera wired desktop, and a Hue camera battery. I assume that's just completely wireless. And the Hue floodlight camera. And these cameras are expected to feature end-to-end encryption, work with Apple's HomeKit. It's kind of interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. There was these 4 cameras that popped up. They're kind of expensive. If you look at them, like the wired camera, $218, wired desktop, $251. Hue battery is $273, and the floodlight camera $382. Man, these things better have like the full RGB lights on them and do disco stuff outside for Christmas and that kind of thing. Well, those are up there. Gavin, I see you shaking your head. You're like, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, yeah. Once I looked at the prices, I was like, who are they trying to sell this to? Are these cameras stuff that they're gonna stream through their hub, or is it gonna go straight online? Because if it's going to go through the hub, then the hub's going to have to be powerful enough. But yeah, when you're looking at like almost $400 for the floodlight camera, like I'm looking at that and I keep converting to Canadian, and we're like at that's like 800 Canadian, right? Well, no, I'm over exaggerating.
$1,000 camera.
Yeah, exactly. I'm over exaggerating, but you start to look at that and you're like, you know what? I'll just go for Ring at that point. Like, yeah, I could get Ring for a little cheaper than that. It seems expensive, but why not? If they see a market for it, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the floodlight camera, I think, is basically the same price, maybe a little less than the Ring Floodlight X, which is the professional lineup of Ring devices that give you a lifetime subscription. So that one's $399 for the Floodlight Cam Wired Pro X. So I feel like that's a really tough sell, even if you're not in the Ring ecosystem, to sell this camera for that much. Does not seem like a good idea at all. I just don't know, why are all these companies coming out with security stuff? Is there
it's been like the number one smart home product for like 5 years now. Like,
yeah, it's just crazy.
Everybody wants these things. So doorbells and cameras, low hanging fruit. They want to get them in.
Terrible idea. Don't do it. If you're listening to the show, there's better options out there for half the cost.
Yeah, their door and window sensor also $43.71 US, and double packs for $76.54. I don't know. They're converting these from euros, which I suspect maybe they'll be like $45 or something, or $40. Who knows?
I feel like if you're on the edge of not using Philips Hue anymore, this would probably push you to not use Philips Hue anymore.
Yeah.
because other ecosystems out there that do the same thing, but they're substantially cheaper. So
right. And they're full ecosystems, right? Hue is good with lighting. We don't know what they can do with cameras. And so you're kind of like starting, I don't know, you might be starting all over. This does integrate with the HomeKit secure video thing is what it says. So maybe they're leveraging that. And I know that there's been a lot of complaints about HomeKit secure video cameras that exist out there. Like, I guess there's not that many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think there's like a floodlight camera, for example. So this would be the first floodlight camera that would be HomeKit secure video.
Right. And Hue's always been pricey, right? Like you look at their LEDs, what they are, how much they're offered for. They're a premium product. And those Apple people, they really like it. So, maybe they've just seen a market that's there and putting it at the price point they think needs to be. And Apple HomeKit fanboys will just eat this stuff up. I don't think I'm touching this.
I'm skeptical, but I'll wait for it.
I do like how they have a wide range of cameras in here. I mean, the floodlight camera is pretty nice to have. I guess the Hue camera wired, I guess that's an outdoor camera as well. So you got a variety of cameras here. The one thing they're missing is, do they have a doorbell? They don't have a doorbell.
No, that's kind of an odd miss there. You think the doorbell would be one of the first ones, Yeah,
and that would almost like round out their camera offering right there. So if you wanted to go all Hue, you have everything covered, right?
Yeah, if we look at I went over to the Apple website and looked for the HomeKit enabled security cameras. There's a Logitech Circle stuff, and then Eve Cam. And I think Eve has a second Eve outdoor cam that does it. So
I think there's the Aquara Aquara G3 too.
I know there's like a more comprehensive list somewhere.
And there was a trick to get any camera into that home secure video using Robert Spivak told me a while ago. I can't remember the name.
Starts with an S. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there was a little trick you can do in any camera that streams, online. You could get it into HomeKit secure video. But that's so much work for the average person, right? Yeah. So it's like, is it worth it?
There's a bunch of hacking around. Yeah. So I think like for the price, like there are people who pay this, know that it works with HomeKit secure video and call it a day. Yeah, TJ, you're right. The Aquara has a 2K security indoor camera, Logitech Circle, of course, Eve outdoor cameras. Wemo actually has a doorbell that works with it. There is the Camera Hub G2H from Aquara as well. A couple of UVs. I guess Ecobee may have one too. So yeah, there's a couple of these out there. None of them look great. So depending on like
this could be it.
This could be it. This actually could be like the default for a lot of people. They're like, oh yeah, I know Hue's good with the lights. Why not?
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Philips.
Yeah.
I'm sorry too. Like I was skeptical now, but just kind of like looking at what may they be targeting, it kind of makes sense. These people have money. They're going to spend it on something. They don't like the Logitech ones. I hear people talk about that. Like if they come out with something, especially the floodlight camera, that could be pretty huge.
I just remembered the app. It was called Scripted that allows you to allows you to pull any streaming camera into a HomeKit secure video. So if that's important to you and you want to go through the work, go look at it.
Cool product, open source software somebody came along with. But I was just thinking that, does anybody remember when Ring said they were going to support HomeKit?
Many years ago, there was even a Twitter account dedicated to the number of days since Ring announced they were going to support HomeKit or something like that.
Yeah,
and they would tweet like Ring almost like daily or something like that. Is it there yet? Is it there yet? That's why I always say don't buy products based on promises. Promised
straight from the CEO's mouth too, that they were going to do it, and then they never did it, and they got bought by Amazon, and then it's just like, well, they're probably never going to do it now. But it would be nice. It would be nice if they did. I guess if you're Philips, you'd be like, yeah, don't do it. but if you were somebody that owns a bunch of Ring devices because you thought that they were going to support HomeKit at some point, you would probably be like, yeah, do it. Talking about Richard and Think at this point, because I remember he was very upset with them for a while that they had not come out or done what they said they were going to do and released HomeKit.
Yeah, back then he still had his Angry Richard account, right? So he's been a lot happier now. Yeah.
The best Twitter account.
Now the Twitter's gone. All right, let's move on here. And moving on to the Move 2, ha ha ha, it's another leak, and it's about Sonos. So it must come from The Verge, right? Because they seem to know. No, it's 9 to 5 Mac, and I think this story actually comes from The Verge as well. So yeah, Sonos is planning a Move Gen 2, and it's kind of a big deal, I guess. This one's going to feature a striking 24-hour battery life. It's got upgraded stereo sound, of course. Has a line-in connectivity through the USB-C thing. It's kind of like the newer products do. And the new touch controls aligned with the Era 300 and 100. So Move 2 is going to retain its design and ruggedness with the IP65 dust and water resistance rating. It's going to have, plus the drop detection that it has. It's going to have built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0 to help connect to phones and Wi-Fi better. So that'll be great. I don't know that you need Wi-Fi 6, but all the routers have it, and it's a bigger number, so you might as well get it. New model is expected to launch in September at $449, which I think, TJ, you were saying is a little more expensive?
Yeah, $50 more expensive than the old one.
Of course.
Got to pay the Sonos tax that came up this year.
Mm-hmm. But this one, big news, this one's going to come with the new olive color.
Ooh.
Wow. Take my money.
If there's anything I was missing from my portable speakers, it was the color olive. Now, I was thinking about getting one of these. I'm honestly not one of those people that like to listen to music out loud in public places. And so I usually don't use a portable speaker. I have Sonos all over the house and I love it. But I did buy a Sonos Move recently, which was probably an awful idea. And it sounds really good, especially for the price. And the fact that I can use Bluetooth with it is appealing, so I can just take it with me and go somewhere if I go on vacation or wherever it is, and I don't have to worry about being on Wi-Fi. I was thinking about getting the Roam originally, but I've heard that one has a lot of issues with Bluetooth connections, and so I just decided to stay away from it and spend twice as much money.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because I have the Roam, and on the weekend we had some friends over, and man, we were fighting to get that Bluetooth connected to it, and I was just like, it can't be this hard. And then it finally just connected. I think it came down to one of our other phones was still trying to connect to it every time it came up, and we eventually got it working. But the Roam, it does what we want it to do. It sounds good enough for the backyard. We bring it out in the backyard and when we're hanging out there. So I'm happy with that. I feel like Sonos can, invest their time, money, and energy into something better, like some headphones.
Headphones.
Yeah, they need to. I don't. When are we going to get our Sonos headphones?
We can ask them at CEDIA, Gavin.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be the second booth I visit right after, I visit the Brother booth and ask them, or the Unify booth and ask them what's up with printers.
Brother booth.
Brother. I doubt Brother will be there, but yeah.
No,
I don't think that's their show.
Okay, Unify. I'm going to drop by the Unify booth and say, hey, what's up with the printers?
Integrators don't really sew much, so Brother definitely won't be there.
All right. Well, we have an interesting story here about Matter as well. This, I think, was over at The Verge. Kind of a pretty in-depth topic that kind of came up. And Gavin, you read this through a lot more than I did. I just kind of skimmed it, but they're basically saying, this is the title of the article: Why Thread is Matter's biggest problem right now. It's the Matter Smart Home Protocol aimed to unite connected devices, but its reliance on the Thread wireless communication standard has created complications. Thread, it was chosen as the wireless protocol by the Matter group, I guess, and it was influenced by politics due to the involvement of Apple and Google and probably everybody else, which were aligned in Thread's predecessor, Zigbee. However, the lack of agreement on implementing Thread's shared mesh network among other major platforms like Amazon and Samsung has led to, here we go, fragmentation and non-interoperable Thread networks, which is just freaking baffling to me how they could have screwed up this. Like, you made a standard, and it's not a standard. What you made was this. you made a standard sticker is what you guys made. You made a logo. Congratulations, you made a logo. It's not a standard if nobody's talking the same language. Oh, man. Gavin, before I start getting an explicit rating for our podcast over this, what do you think about this story here?
Well, before I get into it, I want to say right at the end of the story, they say they know this is a problem and they're working on fixing it. So that's a good sign that they will eventually fix this. Matter is going to take time to mature, and this is one of the reasons. But I really didn't even know this was an issue until I saw this article, and then I saw Jimmy over on X post his Matter setup. And he pointed out that, hey, I have 3 mesh thread networks on my thing, and none of them talk to each other.
Which is insane. It's not a standard. It's so stupid.
And I looked at mine then. I have a Home Assistant and I have an Apple. So I have 2 thread networks in my house, but they don't talk to each other. And I'm like, yeah, this is dumb. But even during the setup, I always wondered about this, because during the setup, it's no one ever asked me, how to get, which thread network do you want to be on? I just added it to whatever. I didn't know I had 2 until I looked at this, and I'm like, oh, so my Apple devices really are not doing anything for my thread devices. Right? It
just defeats the purpose. It's completely different. I mean, it could actually make it worse. I mean, obviously, but you could have interference on one channel that Thread's using, and then you're trying the good channel over here that the Apple devices are on, or whatever Amazon devices are on. You should be on that channel, but you're being interfered with down here on this channel. Why?
It's just, honestly, it's just more confusing for the end user. They should just all join one thread network, sort it all out.
Yes.
And then they even talked about things and this I found scary actually, was Matter versions on devices. So you can have I think the latest version of Matter was 1.3, but you can have devices running 1.1 that, you buy your new device, but it's not going to work with that because they have an old version of Matter on there. And that's going to cause this is supposed to be a standard that made it much easier for the people. I just think it's becoming more of a mess, but they're leaving it up to Google and Amazon and Apple to talk amongst themselves to sort out how to get it all. And I don't think that's going to go well. But to give,
what are you talking about? That always works out. No, companies always do the right thing, and they just work together to promote unity and strength and all that good stuff.
The article makes it even sound worse when they start comparing it to iOS versus Android. The green versus the blue. And then they start talking about why things will work if you add it from Apple, and why it won't work if you use Android, and stuff like that. It's looking like a mess. They really need to sort this out. But to be fair, yes, I know Matter's new. I mean, we only got it, January of this year, February, right? Technically, they've been working on it for 3 years. I would have been fired by now if I was working on something like this for 3 years, and this is what I gave them. But yeah, we got to give it, I say we're another 2 years away from getting something that, becomes a good standard.
Yeah, I think you're being generous on that.
I was being nice. Yes, I know.
Yeah, this is exactly the things that I think we all knew was going to happen. Maybe not in this capacity, but we knew stuff like this was going to spring up and just make the whole standard not really be effective. And this is just another one of those issues that, yes, it's a new standard and blah, 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 but it's been talked about for so long and worked on for so long. And this is a basic thing that was just overlooked. And now what? We're going to have to wait how long to get this fixed? Yeah. And probably buy new devices.
Yeah, you got to get the Matter 2.
That this is not going to be a software update. Yeah, it's going to be a Matter 2.0 thing.
But it's the manufacturers too that have to, take the blame. I only have a few Matter products, but every time I add the Matter as a Matter device, I realize I still need the app for it. Mm-hmm. Or there's certain stupid things I can add the device and control it, but I don't get the battery report for SwitchBot devices, for example. So then I don't use the Matter. Instead, I use the Home Assistant SwitchBot integration, which gives me everything I want, right? So I'm starting to see they really need to clean this up. And then it's the manufacturers. They also need to work on making this right. And if it's not right, it's not up to a standard you like you got to push back and say, fix this. They had one job. They had to make this. They had to make this coming good out of the gate. You have one chance to make an impression, and they're ruining it right off the bat for us.
Ah, man. Well, I can say I'm always encouraged just because it's Matter is an open standard, and you can go over to the Matter GitHub project page and kind of look through and poke through, and in the past 24 hours, there's been 11 closed issues, 7 new issues, which that's good. And then 20 merged pull requests. So like there are people working on this day in and day out. It's pretty wild to kind of like see what is happening on this. Like it's not a dead project by any means.
No.
And the people, if you go and look at who's like committing to this stuff, like who's doing a lot of the work, like it's people from Apple, there's people from Google, it's people from, that are on these teams, on these manufacturing teams at the big manufacturers. So like, I'm sure they are trying to get stuff back to where it should be on this, but man, it is frustrating to find out that they use Thread. And like, why would Zigbee do this? Zigbee already did this, right? With the Zigbee, like there's the Control 4 version of Zigbee that has the extra flavor stuff added onto it that you can't use anything but Control 4 gear with their products. And you can't take a Control 4 dimmer and use it on Home Assistant, right? It just doesn't work that way because they have their special little thing in here and it doesn't work. And like, why? Like that's against the goal of what we all thought they were going here with Matter and using Thread to like basically make everybody kind of talk together. But now we find out that they've been kind of just kind of like up to their same old games under the same sticker. Like we've gotten a new sticker and we're calling it a standard, but we're really not a standard. Everybody, all I can say is like, maybe it's just so early and people have been demanding that they have the Matter sticker on there. Like everyone has been demanding it's like, put the sticker on there. And they're like, no, it's not ready. Put the sticker on there. No, it's not ready. Really, it's not ready. Put the sticker on there. Okay, we'll put the sticker on this year. No, wait, it's going to be next year. Oh my gosh, you're not going to put the sticker on there ever. That's how this whole thing's gone. And now that they're like, okay, we can put the sticker on it, wink. The problem is that they're just like hacking around something because these companies can't come together and work together. Like, I really hope this gets fixed. I really hope that we actually have like a viable Thread /Zigbee /whatever mesh network, because when that's up and going, that really works well. Like for all these home, like when you have a mesh network for IoT devices and it lives out of the way, off on the side of your Wi-Fi traffic, and you can get all your Wi-Fi stuff done over there, and you got a hub or whatever they call it that talks to all these devices. That really works well. Like it's a really good design, and getting these stinking IoT devices off of Wi-Fi is a great goal.
Yeah,
because they really mess up your Wi-Fi. They really are messing up your Wi-Fi. So yeah, I really hope we can get this resolved.
I always blame the manufacturers for a lot of the problems, though, because Zigbee and Z-Wave were great protocols when you look at them. But I always found, anytime I had problems, it was something the manufacturers did, whether it's Aquara using their custom clusters to make things hard and not work properly. Z-Wave was actually pretty good, but then you had some manufacturers that were using command classes in ways that they shouldn't have been using it because they didn't have a way to do what they wanted to do instead of try and get a new command class. They were hacking the standards, and that caused other issues. But at the base of it, both Zigbee and Z-Wave, I run them both in my house. They run really great, and they were great standards. It just feels like, with the whole Matter, you're having the same issue. Now it's the manufacturers still doing dumb things, just making it not work properly, and I think they just need to lock it down and say, all right, guys, you have to do this. You have to be at the latest version on all your products, or, you have to figure this. This is how you share passwords, so that you can all be one, Thread network in a user's house. And don't leave it up to them to work it out. They need to make a standard of it.
Yeah. I'm still on their GitHub page, scrolling through the top contributors. Most all of them Apple. It's kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, but is it a side project to these people, or is it like, are they really like dedicated to it 24 hours, or is it a big team, or just two guys hacking away in a lab?
This is definitely their main job at Apple. I mean, there's like 1, 2, 3, just within the top 10, I would say 7 of them are Apple, probably 3 or 4 of them are Google. I'm over the 10 now, but just within, I guess I'm kind of like just scrolling through, because the people will label their GitHub account with like -SI Labs or whatever. So that's Silicon Labs, right? There are people in here that are doing work on this every day and committing stuff back or pull requests or things like that. So you can see like the top 1 or 2 people have, 1,600, 1,000 commits, 900 commits from Google guy here. 400. This guy is in Mountain View, so I assume that's Google. So yeah, it's It's interesting. It is being worked on. I just can't believe that you get down to it and like, oh, all the problems you were having is because you have two Matter networks. Oh, it's just a big swing and a miss again. Like, just oof. Come on, guys. Like this should never have been the case. Like this shouldn't be how you solve this.
But they are working on it, so they'll fix it. You just give it like 2 years.
All right. Well, let's stop beating the dead Matter. No, wait. No, we have more Matter news.
Oh, more Matter news.
All right. So who matters this week? We've got Aquara adding a Matter Bridge, I guess. Matter Bridge support to the G3 camera hub. It's going to receive firmware update 4.0.4. It's going to add in Matter support for the bridge segment. The camera's video doorbells aren't supported by Matter yet, of course. Child devices linked to the G3 can now integrate with Apple Home, Google Home, Amazon Alexa, Samsung SmartThings. The update may lead to duplicated hubs and child devices if they're already connected through HomeKit, which makes sense. Kind of talked about how that works in the past. But that's not bad. A firmware update now gets you possibly a bunch of devices, compatible devices from Aquara using their G3 hub. Into the Matter ecosystem. So Aquara, congratulations, you matter this week.
Yay.
This camera actually looks pretty nice too. I'm kind of a fan for it. I don't really have a use for it, but I like that it's HomeKit secure and it doesn't look overly ugly. It kind of looks cute. It's got you can put little ears on and everything. Spice up your camera life.
It's a two in one device, right? Like it does the hub part and the camera part. So that's nice.
Yeah, and it's got infrared built into it as well, so you can control your TV or other devices.
Yeah. It's
I like a device with multiple uses.
Plenty of options there. And just kind of an honorable mention today because we really don't know what this means, but there's an interesting post over on the X website. I guess I really don't understand this. It's like half branded X, half it's Twitter.com, but it's got X everywhere, which is it's just so dumb. All right. Anyway, from Dan Roklowski, I guess. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but Dan says, very interesting. Keurig and Roborock Global have joined the CSA. Maybe to support Matter? ? That's interesting. So we could have, maybe one day Keurig, coffee maker company, I guess. And then Roborock, they do the vacuums. Maybe we can have them jump on the Matter train here. I see Luxon is on there too.
There's a lot of companies on the CSA, and it's good to see more companies jumping on, like.
But these are new.
Yeah, it would be nice to get, your coffee maker on there to report things like water level or allow you to turn it on and off safely. Some people have hack solutions together, but those hack solutions aren't necessarily the safest because it still allows you to do things like turn it on without water being in there or stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. But if it's built in properly, then you have all the safety checks, and that's where I'd like to see them go with this. That would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be cool to have a Keurig with Matter compatibility.
It's got to be able to load in the cup thing,
Well, that's a $89.99 add-on,
I guess.
Just like the revolving Keurig cups.
I needed to refill the water more often than not, though. Like that's.
Oh, you have a tap adapter for that,
Yeah. The problem is where my Keurig is it's on like a dry bar type thing where there's no. We were going to put a sink in, but we were like, it's too much money, so we didn't. And now there's a bar there, but the coffee machine's there, and there's no way to get water over there.
All I hear are problems. I'm not hearing solutions. Come on,
yeah,
Seth.
there is a solution that involves a drill and a mess, and I'm not doing that. So
I think the solution is one of those Amazon drones that just flies around. So that way the Keurig is like, I'm out of water. The Amazon drone
will deliver water
picks up the water, dumps it in there.
Yeah, but it's got to have Matter first. So that's what we're waiting on. Hopefully that's what Keurig's doing here. And then if it falls on the floor, the Roborock can pick it up and put it back, right?
Genius.
All right, guys. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found over on our show notes at HomeTech.fm/447. We got a pick of the week this week. TJ, you ran across this. This is actually pretty cool. This is a virtual camera, I guess. Virtual lifeguard is what they call it. It's a camera you stick in your pool. It uses the power of AI to determine if a child is falling in and is drowning, I guess. So that's actually really neat.
Yeah, this is a good idea. Down in Florida, and I'm sure other places too, but we used to install those little pool alarms that would go on the door. And, you always had to have them during the inspection, and then every single homeowner always ripped them out right after.
Unplugged them. Yep.
Which you can't blame them because they were just annoying. They would go off immediately unless you pressed the button or something before you went out. And so I would install them and then I would get annoyed within 5 seconds. So I'd take the battery out until I left for the day. So I could totally see why nobody wants to use those. This seems kind of cool though, just because it's actively monitoring it, and it'll tell you if somebody is drowning or is having an issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like $1,500 probably isn't that much if it actually saves your life.
Yeah, no, it is pricey, but I mean, in the world of pool equipment, it's actually not that pricey.
Yeah, I was gonna say pools are very expensive anyway. So
yeah. No, this isn't a bad idea, because like you said, those the pool alarms do not get used effectively. I mean, I guess you could be, if you had a kid and you were worried about them opening the door and getting in the pool, you could keep it plugged in. But eventually it does get so annoying that you have to unplug it. And then this actually points out that a lot of the drownings happen while the pool is actually active. So 88% of drownings happen when the pool is active. That's quite a bit. I wouldn't have thought of that, but it does make sense that, you turn your back and somebody goes under and you don't see them and nobody knows because they're underwater. So yeah, this could actually really help resolve those situations as well too. So it's kind of nice. $1,500, it's pricey, but not pricey. I don't know.
It depends on how you look at it, right? But,
yeah.
It's a really cool system. It has dual camera on it. So I guess it measures above the water and below the water. And I guess it uses AI to determine if someone's swimming, if they're drowning, if they've been under there too long, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually, because one of the problems I have with my pool is, little animals that fall into it. Right. And I was wondering if they'll add that to this. That would be cool if they could detect a little animal that fell into my pool and, notify me. Because this week we saved a little mouse, felt good. He was on the step. He was shivering. We scooped him out and saved him. And I felt good. And then he probably ran back under my deck and went back to his home where he shouldn't be anyway. Right. Actually, no, he was in my neighbor's garage. Because he got into the grass seed.
Oh, okay. No worries then.
Yeah,
it's your
no
neighbor's
worries.
problem now.
So he got saved and he got fed, so we're all good there. But I really wish, they added the animal support, because the last thing I want to do is scoop out a raccoon too. Those things are big, and
they're kind of heavy.
Yeah, they actually were able to jump off my step, but in my neighbor's pool, they actually they died in the pool because he doesn't have steps coming out of it, right? And it's pretty big. He actually had one frozen in the ice when he took the cover off the next year. Wow. There was one actually frozen in the ice. So if we had a Milo, it would have warned us, that it fell in before they closed the pool, So I know $1,500, it's high, but I know what you mean, though, that if it saves a life, it's worth the money. This is one of those devices you don't want to, use. But yeah, and pool equipment is not cheap at all. So, maybe I could just buy it and the CEO will just know it's there and not know how much I paid for it.
Yeah. It's a good safety device, it seems. So
what I do now, though, is I have a camera overlooking the pool, and it actually has a zone set up in the pool in Blue Iris, and it will notify me if, someone's in the pool or an animal's in the pool or anything's in the pool. And I have it set up based on times, etc. So I kind of do it that way, but it's not going to let me know if someone's drowning, just if someone's in there.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's not very obvious how it gets its power. And if you look at the specs, it tells you that
There's
it requires 24-volt wired
it's
power.
Got a cable coming out the back.
But none of the photos basically show that. I think a couple of them on the how it works section does.
Yeah.
But it's very well hidden. So, but it makes sense. I mean, it definitely needs power because it's AI. It takes a lot of power.
It's 24-volt powered, low volt. So yeah, it's going to take some power to get 2 cameras up and going with the siren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And where I have it, where I would I'm already planning it out, I'm going to buy one, but where I would have it sitting I know I have my lights, my garden lights. So I have low voltage running there already, and I'm not even utilizing most of the transformer anyway. So I could, depending on how much it pulls, I could probably tap into that.
You know what? On their website, I was just kind of clicking around. I clicked that just makes total sense now that I'm looking at it. Hotel and commercial pools.
Yep.
They put those, they just have examples of, put one on each corner, one in It just depends on the size of the pool. I guess you can put them in there, but like, yeah, no one is ever monitoring those things. It's like swim at your own risk. But if a kid sneaks in there and then slips and falls and has a problem, like that would be huge. Like no one knows ever monitors those things.
On a hotel pool, even like your condo pool or something like that. I'd almost want them to build something more permanent and not something that just hangs off the side, but something built right into the side of the pool.
Yeah.
At that point, so it's almost like a jet or a light in the side of the pool.
All right, Milo, ball's in your court. HomeTech.fm/happy hour. We'd like to see you support our happy hour for this line. This is actually a pretty cool product. They're not sponsoring the show. TJ ran across it and put it in the hub, and we thought it was pretty cool. So hope they have some success with it. There's a couple of other products like I've seen for years that use like radar to detect if the water breaks. Like it can tell if something just fell in, like a ball or something like that. But if something breaks that the waves and everything. But if you're swimming in the pool, that doesn't detect if somebody goes under and doesn't come back up. So this makes a lot more sense in that situation. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. Email address is feedback@hometech.fm, or you can visit hometech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right, product updates. We've got, Home Assistant is live. This is probably like, the third or fourth week I haven't updated this thing. So should I, while you're telling us what's in this, should I turn around and try and update this thing?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, it's a minor update, but you probably have updates to your Z-Wave.
Well, he has like 3 or 4 updates, I'm sure, because he hasn't updated in a while. Yeah. Everything's going to break now.
I know. I don't
have anything like that. Zigbee, Z-Wave? No.
He just has Matter.
Oh.
I don't have anything. I have one device connected to the Wemo, and I have
your printer?
A Shelly. I do have my printer, and I have the Shelly button. That's really all I use. And for the most part, Home Assistant's been pretty good about when I press the button, the light turns on. So can't complain.
There you go. Quick update. But they did release 2023.8 last week. And I consider this one, it's an incremental upgrade. There's a lot of behind the scenes voice stuff they've been working on. Nothing groundbreaking in this update, but it's always good to keep your Home Assistant up to date whenever you can. So just do the update anyway. One cool thing is they added a feature to generate an image with OpenAI's DALL-E. I find this kind of cool. If you're doing dashboards and stuff, you can have it generate images. Their example was weather images. So you can have it generate images of like Toronto today, based on today's supposed to be sunny. Give me a picture of Toronto sunny.
Oh yeah.
And you use that on your dashboard, and you can have your dashboard auto updating, based on things like that. Right. Which is cool. I don't know if I'd ever utilize it, but it's, as I said, there's a lot of other bug fixes and tweaks in these updates, so always update your Home Assistant.
There's an OS update I have to do, I guess. I'm waiting on that to reboot.
Yeah, there's going to be like 3 or 4 updates for you probably.
maybe not. I don't know. See what happens. Why don't they? Well, I guess I shouldn't ask why don't they have an automatic update thing, but I'm just going to walk away from that question because
they do actually, but I don't know if they have automatic updates for the OS.
You have to install it through the Hack Store. Yeah, that's great.
Probably, yeah.
Oh man. Well, for the most part, this thing's great. I still do not. I think that this setup in Home Assistant in general is heading away from the average user on a day-to-day, like a constant and steady march of heading away from people. For power users, probably a pretty good product, but I haven't seen them make any progress towards simplifying this horrible interface or at least re-examining some of the decisions they've made about like how this gets summarized to someone who just wants to come in and plug a switch with a button in and call it a day.
They're doing it slowly. So you see an update, but the updates will come every month. And like even in this update, they migrate certain things from YAML now into the GUI, right? So they're moving away from YAML, but they also did an update to the onboarding process. They cleaned that up a bit too, right? So it's incremental steps to get you there. They can't do everything at once. They're a small team, but they're taking small steps. It's much more user-friendly than it was, say, 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're moving in that direction. It's going to take them time.
I I think it's much more user friendly for the power user. Like, what I do see, like, if I were to use this, every day I think about, like, man, Home Assistant's got all the integrations because it's got all these like nerds banging on it and everything. But you could never be on the pro install side and even conceive about putting something like this in, because it's still too low level. It really is. Even the dashboards, like, everything's too low level. And on the pro side, it would be awesome. Like, I think there's somebody doing this right now. We talked about it in the past. They have like Home Assistant doing all the integrations, and they just do a little bridge driver over to Elan or Control 4 or whatever.
Lenovo.
Lenovo. Yeah. It's like a little small
Magic Cube. And you don't even need the hardware to do that. You can run your own Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi or whatever and tie it in as well. So
yeah. I just think that the designs, the decisions they make are great for getting these integrations up and going. But like, from a user's perspective, an average user's perspective, I think that this just is not, it's not going the right direction. Like, I don't know if they will. I don't know if they ever will. I don't know if they need to. Like, they have enough people banging away on this thing constantly. But I think what it needs over the top of it is just some kind of like summary. Like, think Apple, like Apple Home app, maybe even simpler than the Apple Home app on top of Home Assistant. That's what I'm talking about. And they're not headed that direction with all the stuff that they're doing.
So you basically are asking for it to generate the dashboards for you automatically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't even think they need a dashboard. Like, I literally don't think they need that. All the stuff that they put in here, it's overwhelming. You know, it really is.
Yeah.
It is. And they need to get rid of like 99% of it. And that 1% that left is going to be excellent. Trust me. Like, it's there. Like, it really is. It's really cool that it's there. But they don't need to show that to anybody, unless you like flip a switch that says I'm Gavin.
But that's where if you go into the device itself, just turn off the entities. And
I shouldn't have to do
disappear.
that. I shouldn't have to do that. That's what I mean. Like, those should be off. Like, the default should be off.
What should be the default? Should be all the entities are off, and then you just turn on what you want, or do they turn on all the entities and you turn off what you want?
I shouldn't even have to know what an entity is. Like, that's, I guess, is where I'm going with this. It's like, that particular part of it is just so confusing for, like, having to install the hacks thing to get the extra integrations act on. It's like, oh, come on. Like, now
the hacks now you're going extra. The hacks is the added stuff, right? But like, entities are how they name it. So like, you'll have a device and an entity is the switch, or the entity is the battery level, right? So you could actually, should we have the battery level by default turned off? Like, these are debates that go on in their community too, is like, you know, should we have all this? Like, you'll be on that side where it should be all turned off. And then you'll have the other half of their people saying, no, it should be turned on.
Right.
And how do you know which is the one to do? So you're on the side that's going to say, I hate this.
Well, it just depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to be like the Home Assistant for everyday Joe, like, turn off everything. If you install a switch, I don't need to know what the battery level is. And if I did, it's there for me, right? But if you're a power user, having that battery level graph that I can sit there and watch, because I turned that on. I have it on for my my the little lamp switch thing. It says it's 33%. It's stayed that since I started using it. That's great. I don't need anything else. Like, I just need to switch.
Just gamify it. When you set up Home Assistant, it asks you if you want easy, medium, or hard.
Exactly.
That's not a bad thing either, right?
Yeah, no, like, it's not. It's a good idea.
That's actually not a bad idea too. You know, whenever I add a new device to Home Assistant, I go through all the entities and sensors for that device, because they actually do have some that are disabled by default. And I'll go through the list and I'll say, I want this on, this off. I'll turn off everything I don't want and just turn on what I want. And I clean it up that way. And that's my default when I add a new device. Now, when you start off fresh and you're adding all your devices, that's going to be a pain, because you're going to get thousands of them, possibly, depending on how many things it discovers. You know, like, when it picks up your Sonos integration, it's going to pick up like you get 100 entities right there.
Yeah.
Right. That you don't want to scroll through. Yeah, I totally get that. But I like TJ's suggestion, almost ask, what type of user are you? A power user or are you a basic user? And then configure it based on that. Yeah.
I mean, I do get into the power stuff, but I don't want to deal with it. I just want the basic stuff.
Yeah. And there are dashboards that people have created that will auto generate, simpler dashboards for you. So it will take just the basic stuff like you're saying and then create a dashboard out of it. But even to get to that level, you got to understand how to create dashboards, how to get hacks on there, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But they're working towards it. It's just taking them time, and this is debates they deal with all the time. So
I don't know if this is a lot or not a lot, but I have 2,700 entities right now. So that's a lot of stuff to go through.
It is.
Yeah. I just got a notification that, in 2024, I have discovered entities with a name that starts with the device name that will not be supported anymore.
Ooh.
February of 2024. And it says, please address this before upgrading. I got a little bit of time to go through and rename all of the, it seems, Tempest weather station entities, I guess. I don't know.
I have 3,700 disabled entities.
Holy cow.
So I don't even know how many enabled ones I have. You kind of get overwhelmed with entities, but there's a lot of useless entities out there too. So that's why like I said, whenever you add a device, best to go through it and just disable the entities you'll never need. Like, you may just want the battery level and, the state. And that's pretty much it for a certain device, right? I like to enable the node status on Z-Wave devices, for example, and I have a little automation that will tell me if any Z-Wave device ever drops off when the node status drops, changes to a certain thing, right? So, but you could add that later on if you wanted to.
But I guess that should be built in too. Like, doesn't need to be something you do.
There's probably a hacks integration where someone built that in.
It's a great idea. Like, that automation's a great idea, but it's like, that should be like part of the core part of the system that's monitoring the Z-based stuff. That's, I don't know. Like, to me, that kind of stuff you shouldn't have to do, that you do have to do, is kind of where I mean, like, a lot of the stuff that should be a given. And I granted, like you said, small team, they're working towards a bunch of stuff. I think they're focusing on voice and that kind of thing. Okay. But like, this product in and of itself is totally 100,000% a power user product. It has no business being handed over to grandma. Like, it's just like, there's no way she's going to get anything done with this. And that's where she has the option of using something like SmartThings or, Google Home or Amazon Alexa. Like, that's what those products exist for.
You could give grandma this and like HomeKit. You could use Home Assistant as like all the stuff, and then just use HomeKit as the actual front end.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah,
I mean,
like the rigid over.
Like, that's the flexibility and the niceness of Home Assistant, is that there's a lot of different options for it. It's definitely a power user product still, but kind of like what Gavin said.
Grandma wouldn't be able to she wouldn't be able to hook this up.
Yeah, but she's not going to know how to like look at a Ring camera anyway.
You give her a Wemo plug and an Alexa thing and say these two go together. I mean, and there's the instructions are right there. Like, it's less steps than it takes.
Which grandmas you dealing with, Seth?
Yeah, well, I mean, I deal with a lot of old people here.
Alexa, honestly, cancel. Has totally simplified that process where you just tell her to discover devices and she pulls them in. And I totally get it. But then when it comes to the power of what you could do with that device, like, some people just set a timer for it to turn on at this time and turn off at that time. Right. And they're like, wow, home automation. And that's all they want. And that's probably 90% of the people. Right. But once you start trying to do more than that, you can't do it with the Amazon product.
And that's what I mean. Like, that interface that we just talked about, that user experience, discover devices, it adds it in as like the switch. I want a switch. I want it to be a switch. Give it a name, Christmas tree lights, whatever. Put it in, but don't give me all this other junk. I don't care about the power level or the, power usage graph and everything they go like, I understand that's there, and I'm proud that you can access it, but like 99% of the people just don't need it, or will never have any use for that kind of information. And when they do need it and they go in and they discover that, they'll be like, wow, you can get all this stuff in Home Assistant. Like, that's amazing. It's all there. That's great. I wish that things like Apple HomeKit had this level of and depth of integration. Like, that would be amazing, but unfortunately it doesn't, right? Like, we're kind of stuck with Apple being Apple, and like, oh no, you can use this shortcut apps that is completely insane and hard to like navigate. I don't know what they were thinking. What drunk person made this app? But like, that's their automation solutions, to make another app that vaguely references things that happens in the home app. And I don't know, like, it's nice. It's a nice add-on, but like, this thing, Home Assistant, way more powerful because you have access to all that lower level stuff, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like you don't need it.
I'd like TJ to go to the Home Assistant forums and submit that feature request, though. Are you a basic user or advanced user? I'd love to see that. I'll back that. That sounds like a great way to address, some of the problems, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if it could be just dumbed down, and I say that in the nicest possible way, like dumbed down for me, like I don't need all these sensors on here. Like I added the Wiz light thing the other day, and it gave me the option to add all those things to my dashboard, and I just turned everything off but the little switch that I needed. Makes it easy to turn on and off the light. So anyway, that's my rant on Home Assistant.
I hope your update goes bad.
It's actually, it took a while. I was on 23.7.1 and I went to 23.8.1, but I'm there.
And after all that, while you were bad talking it too.
I know, right?
Like you see, like if it crashed, at least your bad talking would have been justified, but it's still working.
It's like they've updated some of the interfaces and everything. So it's good. It's nice. It's still overwhelming. All right, let's move on here. TJ, you said you were up to no good. You got nothing going on?
I've got nothing fun going on. I've just been working. I'm trying to push everything out before I go to Denver next month. So just putting the nose down and working hard.
Nice. Yeah, I am too. Just basically for Denver.
Yeah.
I did get one thing done, which I thought was fun. And I've had this done for a while. It's just kind of been like laying on the floor, not doing anything. And I decided to finally buy a Raspberry Pi case. It was like a 2 for a deal. Like you can buy 2 of them. And it is a nice little case. It went on this old Raspberry Pi that I had. I plugged it in and hooked it up. And I have this DAC board software. Have you guys seen this before?
Yes.
It's a dashboard. I don't know why they call it DAC board. I could probably look into that a little bit more. But it basically gives you a nice little calendar view with weather. And you can bring in your family pictures through Google Media Library. There's ways that you can share things with, this could be used in an office environment for announcements and digital display and that kind of thing. But primarily what I'm using it for is just to kind of put the family calendar up on the TV in the morning. So we can walk by and we look at it and say, oh, that's what's going on today. Or, oh, that's this week. We really need to get a present for that guy or something, that kind of thing. It's actually really easy to get in there and set up and plug. It's like a plug and play type thing. I think you can use more than Raspberry Pis. Maybe they have apps or something like that for TVs that you can download. But I had that Raspberry Pi laying around. And basically what I'm doing is in the morning before we wake up in the rooms that we're in, the TVs will turn on to that particular, that there's no sound or anything. It just turns on. There's a picture and a calendar. It shows you what's going on and what we're up to. Things are getting busy. School year is about to start. Yes. So
I've used so when I had a dashboard set up, I had my Amazon tablet and I would use fully kiosk for the interface. But then what I did was set up so when the screensaver kicked in, it actually loaded up DACboard. And my DACboard was set up to give a slideshow of all the pictures from, I think it was OneDrive or something like that. So we would save all our pictures to a cloud drive and then it would just automatically just cycle through them and became like a picture frame type thing until you interacted with it. So it's a cool product, the DACboard.
Yeah, it's not free. It's I guess there is a free thing, but it's not very good. And then I think I got the $5 a month one for some reason. I wanted it.
For the pictures, you could do it for free.
Yeah.
But when you start getting more of the integrations, you have to pay for it.
Right. API access, $10 a month. There's all sorts of things that I forget why I actually upgraded, but I upgraded months ago and forgot about it. And then so I should probably use this thing because it's helpful. But the really neat thing is I guess they do, if you don't want to do any of what I just did and you just want to buy a $399 TV screen you can mount on your wall, they sell one. They sell a wall display that you could actually, they sell more than that. They have tabletop stands for it. They have a mirror display, all sorts of nice framed options that you can hang and match your decor in your house. All the way up to $700 and $899, $1399. So yeah, they can get up there. I just used a Raspberry Pi, and I think you can actually buy the Raspberry Pi as well. They have that on their website for $100. They'll just send you the little Raspberry Pi with a preloaded card. Plug it in, it works. Cool. I it's easy. I can't recommend it more. And if you want to do custom layouts, it's pretty easy to do too. So fun little project. And I had fun putting together a family calendar on it. So, all right. Besides Home Assistant updates, Gavin, what have you, there's all sorts of stuff here. What have you been up to? I'm just going to sit back and relax now. What is all this?
You know, when you bring up certain topics on the show, I seem to get a lot of feedback and it drives a lot of conversation. I don't know, when you talk about things like monitoring your water meter, soil sensors, you know, the meter barbecue probe, I get a lot of messages, people very interested in that stuff, and I get high boosts and stuff. So I got to keep bringing it back, you know? So I know, TJ, you bought the EcoWit Gateway, right?
That's correct.
So, yeah. So, you know, I've been talking to David about, you know, water moisture, our lawn moisture and stuff like that. And he went down the rabbit hole of getting different antennas, you know, trying to, you know, ranges, stuff like that to see our signals. And then I even just grabbed the gateways, and the gateways they're limited, but not too bad. So they're limited to the point where you can only have 8 soil moisture sensors, but on top of that, you could still have 4 soil temperature sensors and so many other sensors. So it's not that bad, and it's a very good price. And we found like the range with the gateway compared to like an SDR antenna was so good, right? Like it basically picked up everything right away, and it's been humming along, and it integrates right with Home Assistant. So, you know, if you don't want to get into the SDR antenna stuff, grab the gateway. It'll integrate, and it's all local. It's not cloud based, which is another good thing. So, you know, that drives a lot of conversation. But another thing I did this week, I finally hooked up my Zeus Zen 55. So that's the fire alarm, smoke alarm detector integration.
Oh yeah, the little wire thing.
Yeah. So basically, it basically just it's for hardwired smoke alarms. So you connect the line in the ground, not the ground, but the neutral, you know, and that gets the power. So you add it to Z-Wave, and then you connect the third wire to the signal wire that comes out of the hardwired. So that's the wire, when it goes off, it would signal the other alarms usually in the chain to that there's something going off to also go off. And it can actually detect the difference between a smoke alarm and a carbon monoxide alarm. So it gives me not too many entities in Home Assistant, but it'll give me like a couple entities, and I add one for smoke and I have one for CO2. And I even did some tests, and it really works really well. It has a Z-Wave 800 chip in there, which is also the long range chip if that's something you're looking at getting into. And adding it was simple. It was instant. It works really well. Installation was really easy because everything's moretted up there anyway. So you just, cut power first, and then you just unmoret and then add in your wires. And they have 2 extra wires on there if you want to trigger, have it like trigger something else as relays. So if you wanted to hardwire another siren or something in there, you could do that as well too. So it's really powerful and really cool device. And if you're looking to get your hardwired smoke alarms, smart, it's not going to replace things. It's just adding reporting. Right. So your smoke alarms still work as smoke alarms. That's a standard. That's a code, whatever. Right. It's just going to add in that, hey, the smoke alarm's going off or the CO alarm's going off. That's all it's really doing. So it's really worth it. Wasn't too expensive. You can grab it on Amazon, and that's the Zeus Zen 55. Really like it.
Is there any reason you did this like specifically over like one of like the firefighter listeners or whatever they have?
One was looks. So this actually sits in behind the fire alarm. So, and it's also because it's hardwired, the battery, you don't have a battery, right? So that's much better too. I don't have to worry about a battery, but it's hidden. It's so small. It goes right up into the box. It sits there. You never know it's there. I bought one of the firefighter, where it listens for the sound. But the problem is they have 2 different, the Zigbee one you can't integrate, and the Z-Wave one does work. There's some confusion there, so I just gave up on it. I have it sitting in the back. I can't get it working, and there's a reason for it because they butchered the Zigbee, classes or something like that, right? So it depends on what you want, because I know something like the Amazon products, they have detectors for when the alarm's going off too. So if you want to utilize something like this, I just like this because it's directly hardwired into this alarm, and it knows for sure when it's going off because it's getting the actual signal from it, and it won't mistake a sound as an alarm, So like I said, I highly recommend this if you're looking. It's easy install.
Hardwire for life.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice. It's going to be a shirt. Hardwire or GTFO.
I try to hardwire as much as I can, but there's just certain things I can't hardwire, like, and for those, I just make sure they have a long battery life.
Well, I mean, even the grass sensors that you were talking about have hardware options, but when we looked at those, they were like $200-$300 a piece.
Yeah, and the ones I got, they only use a AA, and I only really need them for 6 months of the year. Right. Like they'll last longer than that 6 months, and then I take them out for winter, and then I'll just change the batteries when I put them out next year again.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I'm excited. That's actually a pretty cool integration there. The Zeus piece for the fire alarm. That's really cool. It's a problem solver.
Yeah. My other two alarms, like only one of my alarms is actually hardwired. The other two in my house are battery powered. And for those, I got the Z-Wave First Alert ones, right? Where, and those are also integrated into my Home Assistant. So, at this point, all my smoke alarms are. And I guess if you have all your smoke alarms hardwired, you might only need one of these when I think about it, because that third signal wire is hooked up to all of them. So if one of them goes off, it's probably going to signal, it'll detect it on that same wire. Yep. So you may only need one of these for your entire house. Yeah, that's how we wired the product I'm remembering from way back on that you could use to integrate those with was like that. You would just go to the last one in the chain and have your low voltage wire run there. And then when that relay went off, like you're saying, it detected and flipped its switch. So yeah, cool stuff.
Good old Zeus always coming in handy with the nice accessories.
Yeah. And these are products that like, they're different. It's not just another camera, another contact sensor. It's something different they're coming out with. And that's what I like from a company.
Maybe they can head over to HomeTech.fm/happy hour and check out the support packages. All right. I think that's going to wrap up this week. We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the shows, but especially those who are able to financially support through our Patreon page. If you don't know about the Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 gives you a big shout out here on the show. But every single pledge gets you a private invite to our Slack chat, the hub, where you and other home tech enthusiasts can get in there and I don't know, what have we been talking about lately? The unified doorbell thing. That the G4 Doorbell Pro is in stock. Someone alerted that to us this week. I need a new doorbell, but I don't know if I need that one.
Yeah, the Pro one, I don't know if I haven't paid attention, but I bought one of the Pro ones recently and it was only PoE. So I think they had like a G4 Pro that was like Wi-Fi and Ether, like PoE over USB-C. But then they have like this Pro kit where it's like a hardwired chime and a doorbell.
Yeah.
And the doorbell is massive. I installed it on somebody's house a couple weeks ago and it was pretty comical when I got done.
So the outside piece where the cameras and everything, what they have on their website shows that they have, we should have talked about this during the show, but like what they have was it has two wires connected to it, like for your 16 to 24 volt.
Yeah. So that's the regular unified G4 Pro doorbell, I think.
Okay.
And then there's like this other one that has PoE. I don't know.
Oh, the PoE kit adapter thing.
Yeah, but like this one is like actually a PoE built into the doorbell, so you don't need the USB-C adapter. And it also comes with a chime that's PoE only as well. And so I learned that the hard way. So the G4 Doorbell Professional PoE Kit. And I don't know if they've switched the regular G4 Doorbell Professional to like just straight PoE, but it wasn't before. No, and they're still advertising with the AC adapter, so
yeah.
But if you get the kit, it's PoE only. So don't buy that one if you don't need PoE because you'll be very upset, like I was when I opened it.
That's the one I was worried about because I remember you saying something about that. And it's already black. Why don't they make it white? It's ridiculous. Anyway. We talked about all this in the hub.
Well, black doorbell and a white chime set.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the other one had covers that you could swap out on. Why didn't they do the covers again?
No, they didn't have covers for the doorbell.
Yeah, they were $15 a piece. You could get them.
Oh, yeah. Well, they'll come out with it for this one. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
Gotta make money on those accessories.
What did we just say? We're waiting on Ring to buy those, to make those HomeKit announcements.
Oh, they did have doorbell covers. Huh.
Yeah. I really need a new doorbell because mine died the other day, and the last picture that shows up is my in-laws ringing the doorbell. So I could tell them that they broke my doorbell, but I'm not going to. but I need a new doorbell now because it's really a problem. So anyway, moving on here. If you want to help out the show, I forgot where we were. If you want to help out the show but can't support financially, I totally understand. We just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. That's going to wrap up another week of news here on Home Tech. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Till next time.
Take care.